All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana once again to the Money Talks Wealth Wednesday webinar. Today, we are very, very much privileged to have two experts that you're going to be talking, and they're going to be sharing their experiences. And most importantly, we are going to be diving into the questions that some of you asked during our sessions in the Kibeti community. So today, we're doing our part 2 series where we're talking about the side hustles. We looked at different variations last time, and I'm going to be giving you some few pointers what we talked about last week so that those people who were not in that particular webinar may not feel as if they are left out. All right. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Paul Edward Mwangi. I am a financial trainer at Mwalimu Biashara, and I'm super glad to be here so that we may be able to learn about side hustles. So in the first part of the series, we talked about something very powerful. We talked about the mindset of an entrepreneur. We explored different variations. We looked at what it takes to start a business. We looked at what are the several limiting factors that we ourselves give to ourselves so that we may not be able to start. We talked about the fear of beginning a business and how most of us already have the skills and even the resources to start something small that can grow into something meaningful. We even challenged everyone to go and reflect and think about one side hustle idea that you could start by the side hustle breakfast, which as it's been shown on the poster, is going to be on the 1st November. I hope you guys you came ready with the answers because I know some of you have 2, some of you have 10, and even for those who are yet to figure out what side hustle they want to start, worry not, because tonight might just be the night you get that spark, you get that idea of the side hustle that you want to start. And today's conversation is going to be very simple. It's going to be turning these ideas that you have into reality. And as I said, the topic for today is quite simple, turning ideas into income. So we're going to see how to make those ideas make sense financially, where that's why we're going to be having our experts on board together with us, how to brand it and how to market it even with your 9 to 5 job. So we received a number of great questions, just as I said there previously, and we are going to tackle one by one with the help of our two incredible experts who are here to guide us. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to give a brief introduction about them, and then we can be able to pass over the mic to them so that we can also hear what they have to say. Then we can be able to dive into the questions right away. So first off, he's no visitor to us. He is the host, and he's been with us all the way since our very first webinars. We have Kennon Mbae, who is the co-founder of Mwalimu Biashara. He is the wealth and finance expert with over 25 years of experience helping individuals and organizations master the art of making money, money management, wealth creation, and financial discipline. So he's been able to help businesses transform, and he's been also able to give us the proper financial mindset. Yeah, where he says personal finance is 20% knowledge and 80% behavior. I think that normally sticks so much when he talks about it. And tonight he's going to be giving us the wisdom to help us and to see our side hustles through the financial lens. And then, as we mentioned in the Kibeti community, joining him is going to be Michelle Wanja, who is also the co-founder of Ansa Afrika, a powerhouse brand and marketing strategist with over a decade of experience in marketing, communications, brand management, promotions, and digital strategy. You can see there Wanja waving. Hi. Hi, Michelle. She's worked with both national and multinational brands across Africa, and tonight she's here to help us shape our side hustles into brands that stand out and sell. So, welcome, Kennon. Welcome, Michelle. We are so honored to have you both. Maybe a word of maybe you'd like to say something before we dive into the questions. We can start with Kennon, then you can pass the baton over to Michelle, who's our chief guest of the night.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Edward. Great to be here. Asanteni sana for joining us in this awaiting the appetite
Oh, just a second, Kennon. We seem to be losing you there a bit. Uh-huh. Kennon, you can hear us? Okay. All right. So maybe we can proceed to Michelle, then we can pass it. Oh, I can see Kennon is back. Okay. Maybe we can have Michelle just say hi to us, then we can pass it to Kennon, or Kennon, you'd like to start it
No,
off?
let's have Michelle go first.
All right, no problem,
I
no
can't fail
problem.
twice.
We lost you there for a while,
For
Kennon.
sure.
So thanks guys for having me. The conversations around side hustles are very exciting and important, in the current economic reality we live in. So, this is a conversation that really is built to support you as you embark on a journey towards starting a side hustle, or you're thinking of starting one. So I think it's gonna be an amazing evening, and I hope you gain some amazing insights that will pull you into join us for the main event, which will then give you all the details, all the support that you require with regards to setting up your side hustle. So let me hand over back to Kino, and then he can bring in the why, the financial element about this side hustle, and exactly how that comes alive in this conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much, Wanja. Apologies for my network, but here we go. I hope you can hear me loud and clear on your side, Edward. Okay, great.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, so we are happy to host this webinar talking about side hustles. Every time we talk about money, the number one thing I always tell people is ring fence your income. Make sure the money keeps coming. That is universal. And if you can get money coming from different sources, then 80% of the personal financial management problem is solved. So today we are saying, since that is the truth and that is a fact, then how do we actually do it? Michelle is a fellow expert with me at the Sandbox, and we've worked on some projects together. You're in very good hands. Today I'll not even say much. You're in very good hands to ask the questions about how does it exactly work. But as she rightfully put it, this is just a foretaste. The real deal is what you're calling build your business in a day. I can't wait for that. Build your business in a day. When you come to us on Saturday, 1st of November, by the time we start to the time we end, you'll actually have built your business. You give it a name, you give it a brand, you cost your products, you approach your market, and this is applicable for people who are either already doing the side hustles or are thinking of doing that. It's one of the best products you can ever think about. It's a keepsake that you can take and say, now I know the roadmap. So today is just a day of us at least getting to see my hairstyle and getting to know how Wanja looks like. Then on Saturday, we are together as we do this. But let me just take it back to Edward, who is our host today. We have some questions lined up. Let them keep coming. We'll solve them as they come. Back to you, Edward.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So thank you so much for that. And I think as you've highlighted, that's quite powerful. Build your business in a day. And I'd like probably to pose a challenge, and two things. First, to pose a challenge to ask our audience. If you are yet to think about that idea of your side hustle, this is it. This is the opportunity. So grab a paper, or even if you're going to write it somewhere on your phone, take it, come mahali na simu, just so that even as we ask these questions, I know some of you sent the questions, and we're going to be tackling them one after another, so that we can be able to get that gist of what exactly does it mean when you're opening a side hustle. And also, since the 11 of us are here, I will give us a special opportunity. If you have any questions regarding your side hustle, and even an opportunity to ask about your business, because I know we are people who have businesses over here, this is your opportunity. Do not let it go to waste. You can do two things. You can either put it in the chat section, or you can actually just raise your hand so that we may also hear you speak, and you can tell us exactly what does the pain point of your business. So as we do that, allow us to quickly dive into the questions, and I will probably start with Kennon, when a bit more finance-based question. And the first question, and probably the second question, would be, how do I start a side hustle with little or no capital? Yeah, I have this idea. It is bugging my mind. I think about it every time I am buying smocha, but I have no money. All the money that I am getting, sijui inaenda wapi. So I have the idea, but how can I be able to make sure that this idea comes alive? So maybe you can tackle that as also we ask the second question. So how can I tell if this side hustle idea that I'm thinking about that I have no capital, how sure am I that it's going to be profitable? Sitaki kuanza kitu ianguke. So I have this idea, I don't have capital, and even when I have the idea to start it, or when I start it, I want to have that comfort that it will be profitable. How do we navigate that, Kennon?
Thank you, Edward. Very good questions there. And today tunapeana zile majibu fupi, short answers, but very pointed. Now, the way it works, what comes first? Is it the business idea or is it the capital? It's a question we've always tried to answer. People say it's a chicken and egg situation. People say it depends on the lens you're looking at things. But for us, the way we look at it, actually, it's the idea that comes first. If you're able to conceptualize a good business, I know this is the problem I'm solving, this is the solution I'm giving the market, and I'm giving it in a certain unique way. If I target the right customer, there is a whole journey that you can run your business on paper first. Now, when that happens, capital becomes available. Because again, and of course, as I say that, it's not as easy as now I have that, I go to a bank, they give me money. You'll find that most times they will not. They'll be telling you, let me see how you've worked for the last 3 years. Now the question becomes, how will I work for 3 years if you're not giving me capital to start working for the 3 years? You see, that can get into a mix. But in terms of capital, what is important is to get the idea first. And there are many other sources you can get money. We'll be telling you about those on 1st of November. But there are many angles you can get money to fund your business. So to answer that question, Edward, and the audience that came to listen to us today, before you even think about capital, get the idea refined. When you talk about building business in a day, by the way, guys, we are not overselling it. It's just, it is so real. It is so real. You have some way of thinking that the money follows. Now, a common thing we've heard about fundraising, people looking for money, generally speaking, there is more money available than there are business to fund. Isn't that a paradox? Isn't that funny? That we are all here trying to look for money, but the people who want to give money are more. They don't have places to put money. Why? Because the idea has not been done in such a way that it attracts the money. So to the person who's looking for capital, before the capital, let's think about the business. I think the second question is, how do I know the business is profitable? Now, there's a world over. Pricing is big. How much are you selling your stuff? And how much are you using to produce the items you're producing? A part of the challenge we've seen about profitability is mixing personal money and business money, so that the line of profitability is very blurry. Mimi ni biashara na biashara ni mimi. On Saturday, 1st of November, we'll be showing you how do you divorce those two. So that when you're talking about profits, it is true profits. Okay? So in terms of profitability, you get your revenue correct, you get your costing correct. Of course, the difference is the profit. The challenge is mixing personal money with business money, and sometimes we do not account for all the costs. So you say, my business is profitable, but you didn't account for the trip you took with your car to go deliver that stuff to the client. Now, when you leave out such a cost, you know it is eating into a business expense. So in terms of knowing your business is profitable is completeness also of the material that you're using and the costing that you're making. Lastly, before I hand it over to maybe to Wanja to add or take a question, is the aspect of taxes. Most small businesses ignore or disregard taxes. Of course, we say, kama hujashuka uko sawa. But at the end of the day, when you start attracting capital, you cannot afford not to deal with taxes. And by the way, taxes are not They are what they, we don't worry about how the taxes are being used. That's not the question today. But it's how can I pay just the right kind of tax that I need to pay for my business. Edward, those are the thoughts I have, but maybe Wanja might have something to add as she takes her questions. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I can just speak a little bit more with regards to what Kennon has shared, right? So a lot of times when you think of a side hustle, the first thing your mind jumps into is like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna need so much money to kick this off. But that's not necessarily the case. You know, some of the hacks that you can tap into is if you're thinking of going into a side hustle, linger around your expertise, the experience that you have, so that you're not having to maybe invest in learning or, you know, trust in somebody who is guiding you in a space that you're not really clear on. So think about the capabilities and strengths that you have and think about how to do that for your side hustle, because that way it kind of lowers the amount of investment you need to put into your business. Yeah. So start small. We always encourage you to start small. Start with baby steps. See what you can do. How can you start possibly online or start with your neighbors? You know, I live in an estate where a lot of the businesses started with a neighbor going to the farm, coming with nyanyas and just posting in the group. Hi guys, I think I have a few nyanyas from the farm. Please come in. If you want, I can deliver to your gate. And that was a year ago. Now she not only delivers nyanya, she does hohos, she does rice, she has a whole array of groceries that she does. And it started with just that small step and that small investment. So do that. And what you'll find is we call that the bootstrapping approach to starting a business. So when you bootstrap, it means you're the one who's handling all the expenses. You're not necessarily thinking about funding or anything. The foundation of bootstrapping and being able to run your company is sales. Getting the customer that actually has that problem and solving that problem for them. So if you're solving a problem, like Kennon has said, you know, you should focus on your business being a problem solving unit first before you think about the profit side of the business. So get into it with a problem solving focus and it will unlock your profitability focus, because every time you solve that problem, you're going to get a sale. So like for the lady in the estates, there's not a lot of kiosks in our neighborhood. I think there's only like one, and it only opens every once in a while. So she saw an opportunity. She asked around and found out a lot of people would love to purchase groceries, but they end up having to figure out how to go to the market on another day or order online, which is super expensive. So she then solved this pain point for the moms in the estate, where she's like, I can actually deliver your groceries to your door at an affordable rate. And that has proven to be super sustainable for her. The other question was with regards to how do I know if this thing will make me money? So like I said before, you need to start with baby steps and you need to test with the market. Ask around. You don't necessarily have to jump into a whole business before you actually ask some questions. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your office mates. Have a few conversations around what it is you want to do. Then you can get an idea of what people will say. People are like, oh, that's actually not a bad idea. That's a good thing. So you'll get some insights around that. So try that as a hack. Before you jump into something, ask. I usually say you can ask your friends and your family, but also try to ask outside of that circle, because sometimes your friends and your family, they love you and they'll tell you this is the best thing ever, but maybe not so much, you know. So try and talk to as many people as you can. And the other thing that you can do is set a loss limit. Figure out how much money that you're willing to lose if you get into this space. Because entrepreneurship, it's amazing, but it also has its learnings, its ups and its downs. So you need to be in a space where you're comfortable to take some hits and take some learning as you grow. So those would be my two recommendations, because really fear is a comfort zone. Your brain is actually programmed to stay as comfortable as possible. So if you listen to that fear of what if I fail, what if I don't do well, you'll probably never start. So those two hacks would help you just get the ball rolling. Plan for that and test and talk to people. I think those would be my two main hacks.
All right.
Over
Wow.
to you.
Yes. So thank you so much, Michelle. I think what you've alluded to and what also Kennon has shared is quite fantastic. In terms of fear being the comfort zone, you just stay there and think about it without necessarily doing anything. And probably my other question, maybe to Michelle, and then you can go to Kennon. I have this friend who was looking to venture into, as you said, the groceries business, living in a certain estate, not in mine, obviously, in a neighbor's one. And they've always wanted to do that job, that gig, especially during the time of after COVID and year after. But then I think she took too long, and then she saw someone else venture into the same business. And she was like, hii idea ni yangu. Mbona huyu anafanya kazi yangu? And she was bitter for probably a good amount, like 6 or so months. And I don't know why she was bitter. Maybe you can explain that. Maybe it's a psychological thing. But when it comes to ideas, we have these amazing ideas, and now it translates to now the other side of marketing and branding. You can actually think about an idea, and then maybe one time when you just scroll in TikTok or Instagram, you see the exact same idea that you had, and someone has executed it, and you're like, oh my God, what will I do next? Do I still venture into the same business, or do I now start picking something else? Because I believe if we've all been there, if for those who haven't been there, I think that don't just try your business, but maybe what would be your advice? And then now adding to that is when now I start the side hustle business, and I know maybe you're going to touch more on the first, but maybe what are some of the nuggets you can give us in terms of marketing, online without spending also too much, so that you, as you said, you have a cap where this is the much that I can be able to afford in terms of losing. So how do you navigate both senses?
Okay. So one thing we like to think is that once your idea has been taken and executed, you just let it go and you're like, hiyo imechukuliwa na mtu mwingine na ni sawa tu. But here's the thing, there's no new product really on this earth. There's nothing new that's coming up that's completely different from what other people in Kenya, in other parts of the world are doing. The difference is in your brand and your execution. So the lady who, is delivering groceries in the estate, she's not the only one, but she's the only one who does door-to-door delivery. Yeah. There are others who do other groceries in the estate. She's the only one who consistently posts weekly. And we remember her every week because she'll always share a post that says, hi guys, I'm back from the farm. Here's what I have from you. And there's the other person who every now and then they'll just pop a message in the group, Bikona Waru, and they're this amount of money. So what you can do in a space that has other existing similar competitors is you need to build your brand, and you need to package yourself, and your delivery needs to be very unique in terms of how your customer experiences your product. So in terms of groceries, you could offer a different way of experiencing your customers. You could offer possibly shopping lists for your grocery lists for your customers as a way to engage. You could offer door-to-door delivery like that lady. You could offer recipes every now and then. You can say, hii nyanya tumetoa this nyanya zetu zimetoka Murang'a, they are very sweet and they're very nice for pasta sauce. And you then give a recipe for pasta sauce. So how it is you package yourself is what will differentiate yourself. So if you put in the extra effort to build your brand, to build your customer experience, to connect with your customer in ways that you're solving several problems for them. It's not just about the nyanyas, it's about the delivery, it's about the food that's cooked, it's about the recipes. Then you position yourself so differently from anyone else that's just delivering groceries. So that's something that we'll tackle in the main class. How do you differentiate yourself? How do you build out your experience and your product in a way that connects with the customer and in a way that will bring you back customers? So that's the first thing. Don't be afraid to venture into a space where other people exist. You can do it in your own unique way and own that space with your brand in a very differentiated way. So I think that answers the question, Edward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so don't be afraid, just venture it out and try to do it differently. Maybe you can try better customer service, or as you said, packaging, advertising. There are so many different ways that you can be able to do that. We're still going to
I think you
be,
had also asked about
yeah,
like affordability, right? Like how do you then
yes.
execute these things? So if you've like just the things that this lady is doing, they're not expensive. Like she lives in the estate, delivering to the door is not expensive. Sharing a post on WhatsApp, it's not expensive. A lot of the commitments that she's offering is time, which is something that is key when you're getting into a side hustle. Time. You have to set aside time to do this, and then try and use resources that are free. You know, we live in an amazing age where you have access to like platforms that give you templates for ads, and templates for websites that even are free. There's so many resources out there that you can tap into to build the basics of your brand. You can open your social media pages for free. You can do your content in there for free. You don't have to boost your ads or pay for advertising. You can grow your brand organically. So there are lots of tools out there that are free, that are open for you to use and in customers. So before you invest, extra resources into thinking, oh, I need to do this big advertising campaign, or I need to buy this amazing fancy camera that captures my content in 8K, if you're looking to venture into influencing. But really, your phone is a tool that you can use, and you have it. And smartphones nowadays have so much, so many features that you can of. So again, when you're kicking off, think of what is at hand, what is easy to use. Use the tools that exist for you. Don't go too far, because if you start then going too far, you then start having issues with capital and looking for money and buying of equipment. Think of renting, think of using free resources, and as the brand grows, you'll be able to invest more resources into that. So I think that covers in terms of like investing into setting yourself apart and differentiating your brand.
Definitely. Thank you for those amazing insights. And I hope that we have noted them down. You don't have to have the flashiest iPhone 17 Pro Max for you to go and take photos. I mean, if you can be able to hire, maybe get someone with a better photo, maybe use that. If you can be able to hire someone, a photographer, take content for the entire 1 or 2 months, then schedule it in terms of advertising and posting. So thank you so much for that, Michelle. So to Kennon, what you've already touched a bit on taxes, and you told us we're going to be diving more on the 1st of November. So that is just a reminder to everyone. Kindly put in your questions if you have any questions right now, so that you can be able to handle those questions. But ideally, there's someone who asked, which side hustle actually works in Kenya saizi? Na hii uchumi, which one? Yani, watu wanataka kujua. Kennon, if you point me to kuuza mayai, ama bodaboda, ama mkokoteni, people are saying I will choose the one that will make sense for me. But the question was, which side hustle actually works in Kenya right now na hii uchumi? Actually, the hii uchumi aliweka in Kiswahili. And then, what are, I think this one you've actually tackled it, but maybe you can tell us, is it better to start this side hustle alone or with a partner? So this is someone who maybe they've been engaging their partner and maybe they want to venture. So what would be your advice to this person? Are they want to do the side hustle? Can I venture this out with my partner, or do I start it by myself? Yatanipatanga mbele, or we take whatever? What would be your recommendations for those two questions? Then we can go to Wanja.
Thank you. I must steal a few things that one is new. And I think that's a struggle that personally I had, and experienced as I am, I had to come to terms that hakuna kitu mpya kwa hii ulimwengu. The idea is, can you deliver it better, faster, quicker, sweeter, the whole solution to the customer? That for me was very comforting in terms of even now as I'm trying to tackle this other question you've asked, which is the side hustle that works. I think something else that has caught my attention from what Wanja said, and I think it's well within what we've laid out for you on 1st of November, is you don't have to spend a lot. Now, the first time I interacted with Michelle and she was telling me there are these three things, there is this, I was so lost. I was thinking, wait, stop there. Please give me their names. Tell me how they work. Tell me where to find them. So for sure, it is a curious question there, Michelle, you've raised. But yes, there are ways in which you can run your business bootstrapping. There is a way you can actually get it to work. And that's why, guys, I will not stop saying this. In fact, at this point, Edward, please put a link on the chat for people to book their 1st of November slot. Because, guys, this is how we want to help you. We will help you if you show up. And by showing up, it's 1,500 shillings today. If you wait for 1st of November, it is 2,000. Now, why am I belaboring? Because I feel we have very little time to deliver the value that is so much. So I thought to pick that because Wanja has shown me places where I have actually cut my marketing, spending 100 shillings, I'm not spending 60 shillings. And then I also end up getting more. And it's more than just the product or the feature. It's also the approach. Did you know it is very important the time you speak to your audience, the time. We start with an advert. So what I've just done is I've put so much energy, but I've approached it the wrong way. And these are tips that came to my attention all through my life at the sandbox with people like Wanja. We don't shy away, guys, from telling you to book. No, we don't. We are not going to make it a trick or play a psychological game. It is as simple as that. Put your money there and you will not regret. All right. I thought to say that because Wanja has just touched a nerve that I know is very live. So Edward has already put the link on the chat. Please feel free to do that. Just go there, put your 1,500. Now the offer I always give, if we go through the webinar and it was not, if you go through the breakfast, and by the way, that money includes a snack. In fact, that's why we are charging for it really. It's because we need to work on a few logistics. Currently, the venue is at CMS Africa House at the Sandbox 7th floor, and we have a snack for you. It's the logistics we are covering. Now, if you wait and do it on fast, you can still do that, only will be charging you 2,000 shillings. Now, let me go to the questions that have been asked. Let me touch on taxes. Now, taxes for a small business, the best way to do, and if you can, there is a method called turnover tax. Turnover tax, for me, I find it a very easy way for small businesses to account for taxes. So how it works is you take the sales you've made and you pay 1.5% of that. That's it. You're done with the tax. It's one of the best ways to do it for businesses. Of course, there's a criteria. There's a maximum. If your business is making more than 50 million a year, you cannot do that. But anything below that, turnover tax is the easiest way to do it. It saves you from audited accounts and looking for receipts that you went to a cyber cafe, all that goes away. You just pay that and it's final tax. We'll be showing you that more in terms of does it apply to your business or not? Now, the other question I've been asked is then which is this side hustle that's making money today? I've already drawn a backdrop that, first of all, don't belabor trying to create a very new thing. It probably does not exist. It is when you see a gap. Some of the industries that will always make money, one of them is the food industry. If you position yourself in the food ecosystem, you could start by being a farmer who produces the food. You could be the transporter who gets the stuff from the farm to the market. You could be the person who does a hotel, so you're cooking food for the people. You could be a person who even goes into healthcare. I know my friend Collins is in the call today. He's done a fantastic job around creating value out of the food industry. So you can go and say, I want to maybe focus on herbs, just herbs, and I want to be known for herbs. My friend is actually known for a very good product called Moringa. I'm saying about this because I have worked with him before and I've seen this work. So anytime you place yourself in the value chain around food, most probably you will be able to. The only thing you need to remember is that it is extremely volatile. You can make 1,000 shillings today and lose 2,000 tomorrow. So of course it comes with major safeguards around. Then how do you take care of such risks that come with it? Another business I've seen people try is a healthcare business. Even in the healthcare space, of course, this comes with a lot of regulation. Okay, you need to be certified to do anything around the health sector. That line of business also actually makes money. And if you notice, where you make money is the real basic needs, food, health. Now, clothing is another angle. Clothing, the challenge with it is that the competition is extremely stiff. It's very stiff competition. And apart from ladies' clothes, the wiggle room is very little. Now, when you bring in second-hand clothes into the picture, then competition becomes very alive. But yes, if you position yourself in the clothes industry because people need them, you can make money. But my observation is that the margins can be thin and it's a bit crowded, even considering other options that that people have. So you realize we are talking about side hustles in terms of business segments. If you have a little bit more capital, you can get into the construction side, whether you want to start with supplying stuff or being a contractor or being a service provider with an architect QS in that chain. It also extends into real estate. You could be the person who is actually providing the land for people to do their construction businesses in. Obviously, now we're getting to more capital intensive businesses. I know we just say that you don't need capital necessarily, but there are some businesses that are capital intensive. You go to real estate, you will make your money, but we say if you see it in the news, it is too late to make money. That's how real estate works. The moment you see it in the news, most probably the most opportunities in Kupita. How to position yourself with real estate is look forward, look in the future. Where are things likely to go? I've seen people actually go to the extent of go buy the government plans. They're there. Get to know what the government blueprints are. Now, some people say, which government? Okay, this is how it works. Those projects take time. I have a friend who positioned themselves and said they want to know how devolution is going to affect this country. So 10 years ago, they actually bought properties, whatever they bought. But that person was buying, saying, because I want to be ready for devolution. I want to be set. I want to be on the receiving end. And for sure, they've made their money. So you see, with real estate, it has to be really futuristic for you to actually make money. But remember that it is also capital intensive. I'm trying to see the other question that Edward has asked me to see that I'm capturing well. I think that's about it in terms of, okay, in terms of capital returns and management. Let me mention something about returns. Now, how do you measure return for your business? This is how it works. For every 100 shillings you put in your business, how much money are you going to make that whole year? Case in point, I go to the food business, I put in 20,000. That lady that is doing Nyanya business in Michelle's estate, she puts 20,000 shillings. She makes a profit of 10,000 every month, for example. But she's able to turn around and invest again. So the first 20,000 makes her an extra 10. So she has 30. The 20 she started with plus a profit of 10. The following month, she puts another. Let's even assume she's not expanding. She's just putting 20, 20, 20 every month for 12 months. That means she's going to get a profit of 120,000. How did I get that? It's 10,000 profit every month for 12 months. Now, what has happened? She's actually invested 20,000 shillings at the beginning of the year. And at the end of the year, she got 120,000 shillings. How do you compute the return? It is 120,000 divided by 20,000. This lady is easily making what, 60%? It's 12,000 No, 120,000 divided by 20,000. That's 12 divided by 2. She's easily making 600% profit. 600% profit in terms of return. In fact, 600% is the return on her investments. So it's as simple as that. How do you calculate the return? How much did I put? How much did I get? You divide the profit, divide by what you started. And of course, the range for small businesses is anything between 30 and 100%. That is a good range for your side hustle in terms of return. Over to you, Edward.
Wow, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that, telling us the businesses that will always make money, the ones which are more capital intensive, and also how to measure returns, how much you put versus how much you take away what you've actually gotten out of it. Thank you. Michelle, anything on that? And also on that angle, yes, I want to start my business with my spouse. What would be your recommendations? And maybe anything that
Okay.
Kennon has put, do you want also to put emphasis on that, Karibu?
Okay, cool. I like the industries that Kennon has brought out. I wanted to speak to it from the perspective of within those industries, and I'll always go back to this, what is the pain point that you're solving? So, for example, you can go into food and maybe you can focus on, niche diets. There are people who are struggling with particular lifestyle diseases. So how are you positioning yourself possibly to offer such a service that will probably be paid a bit more, somebody will pay a bit of a premium to be able to curated menu or curated grocery list that just solves that problem of I don't have to think about how to manage my diabetes, or I've been put on a keto program, and I'm not even sure exactly how to execute that. So think of the pain point within the industry. Kennon mentioned, the clothing and fashion industry is so cluttered. I've seen this amazing lady online. She tapped into the styling pain point in the fashion industry. So a lot of guys, you can go online on Instagram, you can buy all these clothes, and then ikifika kwa nyumba and you try it on, it just looks like something else altogether. And she identified that as a pain point. So what did she do? She created a styling brand, and she charges a premium to come to your house, throw away half your clothes because they don't look good, take you for shopping for a whole bunch of other clothes, and she's able to, distinguish herself in the industry from that perspective. I've seen guys who are doing shoe care, right? So the Generation Z, shoes is such a big expression for them. It's a fashion statement for them, and they really care for their shoes, and it's a pain point because you get your J's, they're white. After you wear them 3 or 4 days, they start becoming creamish brown. So a lot of young brands have popped up, and they're actually dealing in just shoe care, keeping your J's fresh because that's a pain point. So in the different industries, you can really tap into any pain, even in real estate, expatriates, not really expatriates, these Kenyans who live abroad. What name do we call them? What's that name?
They are
That's
called
Living in the diaspora.
Yeah, diaspora. Yeah, the
diaspora.
guys in the diaspora, they have resources. They want to invest in real estate, but they're not really sure, what am I investing in? I send money back home, and the day I come to visit 2 years later, the house that was supposed to be constructed is but a dream. So that's the real estate sector. How do you then build a brand from that perspective of solving that pain point? So you don't have to get into the industry and do what everyone else is doing. I'd encourage you to just distinguish yourself. And that's something that we'll tackle during the workshop. So each of you has an idea, and we'll build out how to differentiate yourself and set yourself apart. So you asked about starting a business with your spouse or with family or with a co-founder. So I always say that having somebody to get into the journey with is great. It helps you in terms of balancing, especially from a side hustle perspective. You have your 9 to 5. For most of us, it's not really 9 to 5. You have to wake up earlier to prepare to leave. And then by the time you get home in the evening after the traffic, after the jam, it's probably maybe like a 7 to 7 kind of experience. And then the hours you dedicate, to your side hustle are possibly maybe between, like what we're doing now, between 8 to maybe 9 or 10 p.m. So having to go through the journey with a co-founder is not a bad idea. You're able to spread out the heaviness of the task. What I would definitely encourage you to do is always have an agreement with your co-founders, be it a friend, be it a spouse. It's good to set up the structure in advance with regards to this is the agreement, this is how we work together. These are your roles, these are my roles. This is the time we are setting aside for this business, and this is the goal that we are setting to achieve this business. So the goal is to don't set it up for vibes, because a lot of times when you start a side hustle, it's just that thing you want to do on the side, and then it doesn't really have any contractual elements to it. It doesn't have structural elements to it. You've not really, Kennon is talking about numbers and pricing and doing the math to make sure that at the end of the day you're sustainable, right? Because if you're a side hustle that's only breaking even, you're just a really good hobby. The goal is to not break even. The goal is to go beyond breaking even, and that way you're tapping into sustainability. So whoever it is you're venturing into the business with, make sure you have the right legal documentation, contractual documentation, and you have clarity on roles, processes, and you're good to go, right from the very beginning. Don't start tapping into those issues when it's become a problem, when friction has popped up. It would be best to just from the very beginning, just have those conversations and tackle them and keep it's formal. Keep it formal, keep it official is what I would recommend.
All right. Wow, thank you. So have the agreement in place, set goals, not just vibes, so that you can be able to get to the core of the business. I can see we have 5 minutes. I'd probably like to take the question by Stephen Ganga, which is on the chat section. And probably Kennon, you can start it off, and then Wanja, maybe you can close it up, and then we can give our final remarks. So Stephen is asking, if employment ends and I can access my full pension, so if employment ends and I can access my full pension at retirement, can you guide and hold me in investments, or what would be your advice? So ideally, the employment has ended and he has his full pension, and he wants to plan for it. What sort of investments would be the best to dive in? Kennon, maybe you can be able to assist on that.
Yes, I think I can take that. Stephen, thank you so much. That's a good question. Already you're getting ready for the mindset of a side hustle. I take it you're employed, so you're saying if it ends and you've accessed your full pension. I remember, I think we had a discussion about this some time back in the Kibeti community. There are very fundamental things, Stephen, that we need to look at here. Pension at this point is meant for your financial sustainability moving forward. Ordinarily at this time, you have gained a lot of experience, both as a person and probably in your trade. So you're mature to actually handle a business or sustain something that you start. The flip side of that is that the kind of experience you'll have gained, especially if you have not started doing anything around what you're trying. Say, for example, you want to go into the transport industry. I'm assuming, let's just take transport. You want to go into transport, you want to start a transport business. If you have not been doing the transport business before, as much as you have experience in terms of being a mature person, then you lack the experience of running a business. The truth of the matter, Stephen, that's an area that is really affects a lot of our clients. The temptation to start something that you're not familiar with. Okay, but I see your question there. Can you hold me in investments, or my advice would be, Stephen, this is a question that needs a lot of engagement. In this webinar, I'm hesitant to give you advice. not because I do not want. It so many angles to it. But you're asking the right question at the right time pension starts. Stephen, just allow me to take your contacts. I'll have Edward take your contacts. I'm happy to take you through a deeper answer to your question because it's pension and it's advice you're asking. Okay? Difficult to do it in a setting like this, but I've noted that and I'll be able to help you with that, Stephen, if you don't mind that. I think it's the best way to to handle that. Okay. I see Helen is telling us to check her question before we close. I'm scrolling up to see the question Helen had asked.
Yes, maybe
I don't know if I may.
I can ask it on her behalf.
Please do. Please do.
Yes. So Helen is asking, I once thought of starting an Uber business, but considering the management part of it, because I'm also employed 8 to 5, I have changed my mind to buying a government bond. What would be your advice on this? It's still an idea that I am yet to execute. So she thought about an Uber business, but then because of the management and work, she thought about buying a government bond. What would be your advice on that? Because she's yet to execute it. Sorry.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Helen. I appreciate that. First, I see Stephen has put his contact in the chat. Edward will pick it up with him later. Now to Helen, you're contrasting two things. You're contrasting running a business versus getting a government bond. For sure, the government bond is very safe in terms of very low risk investment. But what you're going to get in the government bond at best is about 12 to 13%, depending on when you buy it. Okay? So in terms of it being a safe investment, correct. Let's go back to the Uber business that you wanted to start. And what you say in your explanation is that you felt you wouldn't have time to manage it because of your 8 to 5 job. I hear you. But singling out the Uber business, by every time we do a training, we single that out as a business that you can do with relatively little supervision. The Uber business, as I understand it, in fact, I've done it myself, is they have tried to create a predictable system, in that, now, put it this way, anytime you go into business, we have internal controls, but the truth of the matter, you will not get 100%. Some will get lost somewhere. That driver of the Uber will play tricks on you. That system, anytime you're not the one doing the work, the system will play some games on you. Now, I always tell people, come to terms with it. Come to terms with that. The only thing is isikue mingi. All right? So if your business was meant to get a profit of 100 and you get a profit of 90 because the people there, systems, people have chuna here and there, don't lose sleep over it. Ask yourself, is this 90 I'm going to get an adequate return on my investment? That gives you peace. And we're not saying for you to be careless or for you to let people just take you for a ride. It is where do you focus your energies? If I can focus my energy on getting 90 and they take 10, and they're good people, and they're not going to take more than that, maybe also it is a staff retention strategy. Wanajuanga watakuchuna kidogo, so they won't go anywhere. They're going to be, how do I put it? They have a different motivation why they're coming to work. But because their need is being met, we say personal finance is behavior. There are small nuances around human beings that is difficult to understand. Okay, so back to that Uber business. For me, I would recommend that as a business that has a good system around it. Why? Because you can. There's some sanity around it. The sanity becomes you're able to check at least the trips. You're able to see where the car is able to see the kilometers it did. You're able to see the expected revenue you can get. Maybe what you can't control is that sometimes I had a driver who decided to go to his shags with my car. Of course, I went crazy on him and I fired him. But there are some things that zitapotea tu, but it is a good place to start as long as you get 90% of what you're looking for. Helen, just relax, live with it, and run your side hustle. The other thing is you become better at it. So the moment you know utajua mashimo shimo, you'll get to know the tricks of the game. And my view is that it's part of school fees. Now, when you come on 1st of November, these are things will be the practical things will be. If today I want to become a surgeon, I'm going to pay a lot of money and spend a lot of time in school. That is school fees to become a surgeon. If I want to become good at a side hustle, hiyo kuchunachunwa na gari yangu imeenda Nyeri, that is part of school fees. That's what gets you to know how the game is played. But there's a whole mindset to it. For employed people, sometimes they may not be able to conceptualize what I'm putting across. But those are some of the things we want to be putting to you. I'm hoping these questions have been answered. We really like keeping people's time. I see we are 4 minutes overboard, but for sure, discussions like this may not come to an end in a short time. Us was just to start giving you what this is all about. But I want to stop and give us just 2 minutes. Please go to that link and book for that class. If you truly want to book for that class, we're going to be quiet for the next 2 minutes. Please go there, click on it. There's a place will take you to a link where you put money, real money, work 1,500 shillings. That is how this is going to help you. Now, in the event you feel that you're not ready, no worries. But there's a small nudge that I know happens. Just put the money in that till. It will work. We are going to give you good solutions come Saturday. Let me keep quiet and give you a minute to do that. Edward, you can put that link again, just fresh, so you don't have to scroll so far from it. Then let's pay for it. And we're going to get value from what we are saying. As that is going on, if you've been listening to this webinar and you know someone who can benefit from it, please take that same link, send it to their inbox. Tell them, please, tukutane on Saturday. Because when we host webinars like this, and I'm going to say it with a lot of humility and respect to everyone in this webinar. I have a daughter, and sometimes when we go to hospital, I know so well small injection is necessary for them. But given a choice, they will wiggle out of it. But I have to kind of force that kashindano to be done for her to get the blood draw, so her to know, is it viral? Is it bacterial? That's what we do as coaches. That's what we do as experts. We kind of push you, nudge you to do something uncomfortable. And that's exactly what I'm doing. We're not here to take your money and walk away. We're not here to overbear on this thing, but it's because to help you, it's important you click there and you pay. I believe by now you've done that. Take that link, copy it somewhere, send it to a friend, and let us meet on 1st of November. Ladies and gentlemen, it was great hosting you. My parting shot is side hustles are a very important part of a personal financial wealth management plan. Okay, and we are happy to help you learn the ropes. I'll hand it over to Michelle to make her final remarks, and then Edward will close for us. Asanteni.
Yeah, I think, Kennon, you really put the ribbon on it. When you look at personal finance and how you're investing, a lot of times we forget that starting a side hustle can be a really great tool for that, and why not tap into the possibilities around that and see how you can explore that. It's a great space to be in. It's a great space to start with some insights. So I'm hoping we can all catch you at in November, where we can tackle this on a much deeper level, and then we'll go into everyone's details and what is it they're pursuing, and craft something that's customized to your needs. So really looking forward to the day. Hand it back to Edward to close it off.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much to our experts. Thank you for that powerful conversation that we've just had. Ladies and gents, let's take an opportunity to thank our speakers. Thank you, Kennon. Thank you, Michelle, for pouring into us tonight. Still, the call to action still remains. Take the link, copy it, just ensure that you are able to book your slot, because side hustles zina work. And if you want to be in the same place that you want to be come December, that's on you. But we are here to ensure that we equip you with the necessary skills that we can be able to move forward. So we've talked, we've learned, and we've reflected, and now it's time to act. I'd like to thank everyone. So allow me to thank Zoom user. Thank you, Solo. Thank you, Collis Mwenda. Thank you, Noah Reagan. Thank you, Dr. George Otieno. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you, Stephen Ganga. Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Betty. Thank you, who else? Thank you, Helen. And thank you, Betty. She's saying that this was insightful. Thank you very much. Your side hustle could be the seed to your next level. So water it with consistency and financial wisdom. Tupatane November. Take the link. Once again, we kindly urge you and make sure that you book your slot. This is the end of us. This is the end of this session. I was your trainer, Paul Edward Mwangi. I will be sharing this link, this video tomorrow in our YouTube channel. So kindly let's all embrace it. And yeah, share it with your loved ones and share it with everyone out there. Enjoy the rest of your night. Asanteni. It's now 9:09. We close it and then we meet on our Kibeti community. Asanteni. Have yourselves a lovely night. Mimi ndo nitakuwa mwisho. Nitafunga curtains za hii webinar. Thank you very much. Enjoy your night. Bye-bye.
A Sunday and good night. Bye.
Thank you, Abraham. Good night to you as well.
Good night, everyone.
All right. Good night, Michelle. Thank you.